Day 43, May the 11th, 2026. My portfolio, everything I've invested across stocks, crypto, and cash, was up 11.80% for the year. The S&P 500, an index that tracks the 500 biggest companies in America, basically the yardstick most investors measure themselves against, was up 8.47%. So I was ahead of the market by 3.33 percentage points. I also had only 0.9% of my money sitting in cash. My plan said it should be 8%, and 23.7% of my money was in crypto. My plan said it should be 11%. That's how I've decided to split my money across different types of investments. I had a plan for how much should sit in cash, how much in crypto, how much in funds that hold hundreds of companies at once. Neither of those problems got fixed. Not once across the entire 94 calendar days these posts cover. A quick note on the numbering. I aim for 3 posts a week and I number them in order, so day 43 is my 43rd post, not my 43rd day in a row. What you're about to see is a look back at all 43 of them with the final number already visible. All-time high anyway. This is how it happened. February the 7th, 2026. Post 1. I titled it Cash Low, Crypto High, Posting Anyway, Accountability. The spreadsheet that day, cash at 0.5%. My plan says 8. Crypto at 20.7%. My plan says 11, down 0.3% for the year. The market was up 1.27%. The gap between me and what I was trying to beat on post 1 of a public accountability journal, minus 5.57 percentage points. The description explained how things got there. I like personal finance, but I have a habit of drifting from my own plan, letting my cash account drain, making impulse buys, all of it. I started the journal in the middle of the drift, not before it. Post 2 was a mistake audit. I sat down and counted what the drift had cost before the journal started. $21,035 gone. That investment was down 43.29% from where it should have been. To put that in plain terms, $21,000 is a used car. It's a year of rent in a lot of cities. It's months of someone's salary. It wasn't an abstract loss on a screen. It was real money I had moved at the wrong times, for the wrong reasons. I published that number on my second post, before a single thing had been fixed. Researchers who study why people make bad money decisions call this a psychological trick, making the cost of a mistake visible so you think twice before repeating it. I was doing it by instinct. It didn't immediately change anything. By post 5, I was down 5% for the year. The market was roughly flat. The caption on screen that day, and then I used margin. Margin means borrowed money from my broker. The rule on this channel is no borrowed money, ever. Here's why. Borrowed money magnifies your losses just as much as your gains. If things go wrong, you can lose more than you put in. You owe the money back regardless of what happened to the thing you bought with it. The one advantage a long-term investor has is the ability to wait things out. Borrowing money takes that ability away because the lender doesn't wait. I had used borrowed money before the journal started. 5 posts in, it was on the record. In an earlier video, I called this drift. Wrong word. Drift is when the market moves your allocation for you. This was me. Cash drained, margin used. Day 5 named it correctly. Off target, my fault. Post 7. Urge to act was high. Chose to journal instead. Still down 4.81%. The market barely moved, minus 0.14% for the year. Nothing in the portfolio had improved. But that entry is different from everything before it. The first 6 posts documented things I had done. This one documented something I chose not to do. The act of recording it, naming it, and posting it, even 9 seconds of it, created enough of a pause to let the urge dissolve before it became a trade. That's the rule I'd set for myself. If the urge to act is strong, make the video instead of making the trade. It worked once. The urge would return. Post 11. I named it the identity gap. Cash at 0.6%. My plan says 8. Crypto at 19.6%. My plan says 11. Down 4.37% for the year with the market barely negative. Behind the yardstick by 4.25 points. That title was the most honest thing I'd posted. Not a plan, not a promise. Just a label for the distance between the investor I described in my plan and the investor actually running the money. Morgan Housel calls it the gap between knowing what to do with money and actually doing it. They're different skills. Financial literacy isn't the bottleneck. Running the money accordingly is. Post 11 is that gap, in percentage points, posted publicly with no fix offered. 2 weeks in, I called it a milestone. Crypto had gone from 19.6 to 22% of my money since post 11, which means more of my money was riding on one volatile thing. I didn't mention that. Down 4.5% for the year. The market had just turned positive, up half a point, behind by 4.57 points. 2 weeks of posting. The way my money was split was moving in the wrong direction. The milestone was real. The direction wasn't. By post 17, March the 7th, the market had started sliding. The S&P was down 1.54% for the year. I was down 5.8%. Cash, 0.8%. Crypto, 21.9%. The gap between me and the market had narrowed a little, not because I'd done anything right, but because the market was falling toward where I already was. There's a name for feeling good about that. It's not a strategy. Post 20, March the 12th. I titled it, Could it be? Could it be? Here's how my money was actually split. 59.68% in index funds. Investments that hold hundreds of companies at once, so you're not betting everything on one stock, with a target of 67%. Crypto at 22.89%, target 11%. Cash at 0.67, target 8%. Nothing had closed. In crypto and cash, the gaps had gotten bigger, and yet I was down 4.64%, and the market was now down 2.53%. The gap between us, minus 2.11 points, down from minus 5.57 on post 1. Could it be crypto, 22.89% double target, about to turn bullish? The overweight, the advantage, still down 4.64%. 23, March the 21st. Doing nothing because way too much has been done already. Gap, 0.7 points, still behind. Crypto at 23.7%, more than double what my plan said to hold. Cash, 0.7%. I'd looked through my own activity log and concluded the activity was the problem. Most investors review their performance. I was reviewing the behavior that produced it. The right call was to stop. Here's the thing about doing nothing. Every instinct says to act. The news says sell. Your gut says sell. Doing nothing feels irresponsible. There's a name for that feeling. The pull toward doing something, anything, even when doing nothing, is the right call. The way my money was split didn't improve as a result of stopping. The decision to stop was still right. Post 27, April the 4th. No longer behind the S&P 500 for the year. Nice. The market had been hit by tariff announcements in early April. The S&P fell to minus 3.84%. My portfolio fell less, minus 2.87%. For the first time since post 1, I was ahead of the market, ahead by 0.97 points. Cash, 0.8%. Crypto, 23.2%. The portfolio didn't do better than the market because how my money was split had improved. It did better because the market fell harder during a shock and I'd stayed still. The 0.97% advantage came from the absence of a decision, not from a decision. Nice, correct calibration. The next post, I'm just here so I won't get fined. The market partially recovered, the gap 0.18 points ahead. I was ahead by less than a fifth of a point, and I knew exactly how fragile that was. No action. Still here. Post 30, April the 10th. Cash still gasping for air at 0.87%. I led with the cash. The spreadsheet headline was different, up 0.39% for the year. Market down 0.42%, ahead by 0.81 points. For the first time in the year, the portfolio was positive. The market was negative. The cash was at 0.87%, described correctly as gasping. The target is 8%, and across 30 posts, the cash had crawled from 0.5% to 0.87%. It matters more than it sounds. Money sitting in cash that low isn't doing its job. It's losing value to inflation, and there isn't enough of it to take advantage when a good opportunity shows up. The plan called for 8%, so I'd have a cushion. I had nearly nothing. How my money was split was still wrong. The scoreboard was green, both true at the same time. Post 34, April the 22nd. The market had recovered sharply, market up 4.27% for the year. I was up 3.89%, behind by 0.38 points. Cash 0.89%. After 34 posts, the highest the cash had ever reached was 0.89%. I titled it, Still Sitting on My Hands, Thankfully. One post later, April the 23rd, up 4.42%. Market up 4.2%, ahead by 0.22 points. Swing from behind to ahead happened in a single day. I hadn't done anything. The market had moved. Day 35 and ahead, the S&P 500 year-to-date by a wee bit. 0.222 points. Correct. Post 37. April the 26th. I made a 0.68% impulse decision today into my most overweight asset class. That was crypto. I had more than double the amount in it than my plan said I should. And I bought more anyway. Too much money in one volatile investment means one bad week can wipe out months of gains. I knew that. I bought anyway. I posted it the same day. I used the word impulse in the title. No reframing as conviction. No story about why it was actually a good idea. The decision was made and named accurately in real time. That's the specific difference from what produced the $21,000 hole on Post 2. Same behavior. The journal caught it on the day it happened instead of weeks later in a mistake audit. Systems you build ahead of time to stop yourself from making the emotional call under pressure don't eliminate the impulse. They reduce how often it wins. Post 37 is the evidence. For the year, up 4.87%, market up 4.67%. Still ahead by Post 41, May the 6th, all-time high, 2 words, up 9.15% for the year, market up 7.9%, ahead by 1.56 points, cash 0.9%, crypto 23.2%. The all-time high didn't come from fixing how my money was split. It came from staying in, through February, through March, through early April, through every point where selling looked like the rational response. Most new investors sell when everything is falling. The ones who didn't get rewarded by the recovery. The portfolio was there when the recovery arrived because I hadn't moved it. Housel writes that compounding, the process where your gains build on top of previous gains, which only works if you stay invested long enough, requires time, and time requires surviving. What 41 Posts had built was a slightly better record of surviving my own impulses. Post 41 is what that produced. Post 42. May the 8th. I post these shorts to introduce some friction before another impulse decision is made. That's the most honest line in the journal. Not because the insight is new by Post 42, anyone watching from the start could see it, but because it's in the present tense. The all-time high the day before didn't fix the impulse. The system is still running because the problem is still running. A 9-second screen recording posted publicly 3 times a week. That's the friction device. The pause between the thought and the trade. Most of the time, it's been enough. Post 43, May the 11th, up 11.80%, market up 8.47%, ahead by 3.33 percentage points. Cash, 0.9%, 8%, crypto, 23.7%, target 11%. 43 posts, one $21,000 mistake audit on Post 2, 1 borrowed money confession on Post 5. 1 impulse buy named in real time on Post 37. 0 posts where cash came within half of its target. Crypto moved 3 points in the wrong direction. The conclusion isn't the one I would have designed. How my money was split got worse. The problems I opened with on Post 1 were still there on Post 43. Unchanged, unresolved on the public record throughout. All-time high anyway. This is not a story about fixing the plan and being rewarded. It's a story about reducing how often I made the worst decisions, specifically not selling when everything was falling and landing on the right side of a recovery that rewarded exactly that. The plan was wrong. The behavior improved, barely, unevenly, with 1 documented relapse. That was enough. Whether you're saving inside a 401k or Roth IRA in the United States, a TFSA or RSP in Canada, an ISA or pension in the United Kingdom, or a superannuation account in Australia, the numbers in this spreadsheet belong to one portfolio. The behavior problem belongs to most of them. The gap between knowing what to do with money and actually doing it doesn't care what country you're in. The pull toward doing something when things turn red doesn't either. The urge to move when the screen is red is not a market problem, it's a human one. And the research is consistent. It doesn't close through more information. It closes through structure, friction, and accountability. Cash target 8%, current 0.9%. Still working on it. Post 44 is already up. This is not financial advice. It is an accountability journal in public.